Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. From the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager. And Craig, happy Thursday. This week is flying by, but that just means we are one day closer to Georgia High School football. And as we've talked about this week, our game of the week is going to be Grayson versus Newton tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. That is going to be hosted at Grayson Stadium in Loganville. You can tune in here tomorrow night for coverage of that game. Stick around after the game for some post-game coverage as well. But Craig, I also just wanted to touch on our event that we have this upcoming Monday. We have our Corky Kell Dave Hunter Flag Football second annual event, and you were able to take a deeper dive into this event. Just talk to us about some of the things you found.
Yeah, so I'll have a preview coming out. This event's coming up. It's going to be next Monday. What's interesting about the teams competing, I think an overarching theme, these are really the programs that since the introduction of flag football have really been at the forefront, the powerhouses, the well-established programs. So they share 7 state titles between the 8 teams. Last season, they produced an overall record of 165-29. But we also get to see some intriguing first-ever matchups. So in Game 1, Milton and Harris County, 2 great programs. 2 of the more pass-oriented offenses in the state, they're going to be squaring off for the first time ever. I'm interested to see just who's able to win that quarterback battle. In the second matchup, you have Greenbrier and Blessed Trinity. That's also a first-ever matchup. The third game, you're going to have McEachern against Pace Academy. McEachern replaces so much from last year. Chelsea and Njoku, 77 passing touchdowns last year. They're going to be replacing that quarterback, the Miss Georgia football. You got Pace Academy, a team that made a runner-up finish last year. And then in the nightcap, you have 2-time defending state champion Pope and West Forsyth. And what's interesting about this matchup, both of these teams will now be competing in the newly formed Division 5. So you're going to get a look at 2 teams that will be in this highest classification.
Well, we are looking forward to flag football kicking off and covering that event. Again, you can join us for coverage on that next Monday night, September 29th. But for now, let's get into our fast break headlines. Kell class of 2027 softball pitcher Lila Morsery commits to Alabama. So she is a 4-star, 2-way standout. Lila Marici is from Marietta. She has committed to Alabama, and she has had interest from huge programs, including Clemson, Oklahoma State, Georgia Tech, but ultimately she chose the Tide. So she was drawn to the winning culture, the tradition, and the family atmosphere. So, Craig, we've got to cover Lila all season, but how big is it for Alabama to land this out-of-state recruit, and what's she going to bring to the team?
It's massive, and I mean, SEC softball is just so huge. The tournament every year, these big names, these big pitchers. For you to be this sought after as only a junior, it just shows she is going to have a lot of momentum. She's, I think, is going to be someone that's a household name going into her college career. This season, she's already reached the Kell High School milestone for most career wins. She passed that a couple weeks ago with 54. She has the all-time strikeout record already. That was 490 career strikeouts. And they're in a really tough region. They've got Cambridge, one of the best teams in the state, Blessed Trinity, Centennial, Westminster, and they just wrapped up the region title, I believe, this week. They'll have several more games, but just one more region game. This is an opportunity for them to kind of play Centennial, close out the region with an 11-1 record. They'll play a couple more teams right before the playoffs, and this is an opportunity for them to make that deep run, potentially try to capture that 4A state title, and then I think the momentum would really pick up for her. But just having her returning next season and what she's done this season, it's very exciting. She's a special player.
Moving on to headline 2, 2 South Paulding football players have announced their college commitments. Quarterback Cade Wigington and O-line Will Anderton have both committed to Shorter in Rome. They both committed yesterday, so this is great for them to be able to commit at this point of their senior season. Now they're able to focus on what's ahead of them, which is high school football in the coming weeks. And quarterback Cade Wigington, he had 20 starts before his senior season. Now I believe he has 25, with them being 5 games into the season. So Craig, how have you seen Cade and South Paulding improve over the past few seasons under Coach Allen?
Yeah, so Coach Allen kind of got there when Cade was an underclassman, had a lot of confidence in him, gave him the reins at quarterback. They've played a ton of games together, and you mentioned Cade and Will both going to Shorter. This is a team where when we talked to them at Media Day, we talked to them about what the goals were this season. There was a really close bond between this massive South Paulding offensive line and Cade Wigington, just how much they want to protect him up front, go up against all these opponents, make sure he stays in the pocket clean. We don't usually see a situation where a quarterback is getting to go to the next level with one of his teammates, but I feel like that's going to just, it's an already strong bond, but it will be really nice just to have that familiarity when they get to the next level. They have a big slate ahead, some big matchups against Rome. They're in the thick of it. They're in a very tough region. But I think just the overall experience and how many games they've played together already is very special. And when it comes to Will, he's a massive prospect. Pretty much all the starters on that South Paulding offensive line are, but he's at 325 pounds now. I think he's a big get for this Shorter program.
For our next headline, we have another commitment. Class of 2027, Buford soccer forward Ava Rodriguez has committed to Temple. So Buford was the state runner-up in soccer last year, and this is Ava's junior season. She is a midfielder and forward, earned all-county honors as a Buford sophomore, and played on the state runner-up Wolves team the past 2 seasons. She plays club soccer for Top Hat Gold and also plays for El Salvador's youth national team. So, Craig, just talk to us about what you've seen from this Buford soccer program over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that knows about Buford knows it's not just football. All their athletics, they have championship coaches, championship teams across the board. They've been taking soccer very seriously. It's very popular in their area. When it comes to Ava, she's got a ton of speed, and she's one of these athletes that is playing year-round. She's on the Top Hat Club team. I think she's playing internationally with the El Salvador team, and she's still balancing being a leader on this Buford team. I think it's going to be very exciting what she's able to do. And anytime an athlete can kind of land the scholarship opportunity, commit, and be able to just focus on their skills, not have to worry about just all the different opportunities, where they want to go at the next level, she can start to meet her future teammates, and I think she'll be able to really hit the ground running.
Moving on to headline 4, Northwest Whitfield head coach Josh Robinson has earned his 100th win. So he recorded his 100th career win over their victory when they defeated Gilmore 42-28 in their Region 7 3A opener. He has been coaching with this program since 2013, and under Coach Robinson, Whitfield has posted 13 seasons with winning records and has reached the playoffs 11 times. So, Craig, they've only had 1 losing season under Robinson. What does this say about his coaching abilities, and what is the stability like in high school football?
Yeah, well, that's what he's brought to the program. They have been very consistent, and I think prior to his arrival, Northwest Whitfield was a team up in North Georgia where you have the programs like Dalton, Cedartown. There's a lot of talented football up there, but they weren't in that top tier yet. I think he's elevated them to that position. We've talked to him in the offseason. They've been able to send more players to the next level, which is always a goal of a program. You want to give your athletes opportunities. And then this season, just offensively, what they've been able to do has been tremendous. They're putting up huge numbers every week. They beat Dalton 62-42. We know how good Dalton is. And they have an opportunity to try to win a historic region title this year. 100 wins with this program is a big deal. It is a newer school.
Moving on to headline 5, Norcross Volleyball's Ellie Ruth Blue has recorded 3,000 assists in her high school career. So she is one of the most accomplished uncommitted prospects. Blue was a daily post Super 6 selection ahead of the 2025 season. She had 1,142 assists and 233 digs last season, earning first team All-State and All-County honors. She earned her 3,000th career assist Tuesday during the Region 7 6A victory over Brookwood and Berkmar. And Craig, she is going to be honored next Tuesday for senior night. So what kind of legacy does Ellie Ruth Blue leave for this program?
Well, it's to be determined, but I think it will be a special day just for Senior Day. But last season, Norcross was I think they actually were the only in-state team to win a set against Alpharetta. They did it in the playoffs. And if you know anything about last season, Alpharetta, #1 team in the country, they ran the table. So that kind of put me on the radar. And then when you look at what Ellie Ruth was able to do last season, 1,142 assists. And she's hit the 3,000 assist mark this season, but really the bulk of that has come last season and this year. So she's a prospect that wouldn't necessarily call her a late bloomer, but she's really stepped up. And when you look at the trajectory Norcross is on as a contender, highly ranked in Class 6A, it's because she's really elevated her play kind of as the glue of this Norcross offense.
And as we mentioned, our game of the week is Grayson versus Newton, but the Max Preps game of the week is going to be IMG versus Central Phoenix. And I thought this was incredible, but there is 55 players in this game that at least have a D1 offer. IMG alone accounts for 43. And Craig, when you look at this IMG roster stacked with 4-star and 5-star players, what does this say about this program?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, we're blessed with the matchups that we get to highlight, teams like Grayson, but IMG Academy obviously is that special place. We've seen a lot of players from Georgia go there after successful sophomore years. It's really preparing them for the next level, and this is a big-time matchup, and I love the national schedule they're able to play.
Well, we will be right back after this break to hear from Evan Newton, Covington sports writer. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing. So there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts, attend street festivals, and see Wings Over Northwest Georgia Air Show. Plus, you can enjoy a haunted tour or two and these upcoming events. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at RomeGeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We're at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. And now we will hear from Covington news writer Evan Newton. Evan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
So you've covered teams like Newton and Eastside this season. So just talk to us a little bit about what your job is and what you do for sports in Covington.
Yeah, so I'm the managing editor of the Covington News here in Covington, and I oversee both the news and the sports departments. And what we do on a weekly basis is we, for at least for football season, is we have a sports extra section that covers Friday night's results in the Saturday paper, and that's for all of our county area teams: Newton, Eastside, Alcovy, and Social Circle.
And so how do you see the role of local sports journalism building community pride around these programs?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like at least here in Newton County, there are a lot of people that rally behind their local sports teams. My boss, Patrick Graham, he said it best the other day. We want to give college level coverage to these high school teams, and that ultimately is what matters at the end of the day. And that's what we try to do. And in doing so, we believe the community rallies around that.
Then Evan, let's get into this huge game we got Newton, we got Grayson. What makes this Newton team special?
Well, this Newton team, I tell you what, they're always battle tested every single week. They're always going to come out and compete no matter who the opponent is. And really, to me, I think that starts with the run game. I mean, there are so many special backs that have come through the school over the years, but especially this year, you've got 5 quality running backs. Obviously, Kevin Hartsfield is one to watch. Coach Josh Skelton has said he is one of the best running backs in the country. But then you also have guys like Caden Hambright, Tavian Thomas, Darius Hercules White. And then the X Factor who hasn't played much, actually hasn't played at all this year, is Carter Lumpkin, a freshman, the son of Georgia running back great Craig Lumpkin, who I'm told is going to play in this game against Grayson. So really it starts with the running back quintet, if you will, but also the ability to air it out as well. Quarterback Deron Benson has played well. And then, of course, Derek Miller, who's really emerged, has that track speed, of course, a defending state champion, but he's really starting to put it all together in these games.
Evan, you mentioned Deron Benson at quarterback. I feel like Newton's a team where I usually consider them to be a run-oriented team, but we saw how much they're able to pass the ball against Archer, just putting up huge numbers. How do you think maybe some of the injuries in the backfield, having to rely a little bit on the passing game, can help them moving forward?
Well, I think with Deron Benson, he has that experience level, right? He's actually a 4-year starter. And, over time, he's been able to progress his game to where he's been more comfortable in the aerial attack. Coach Skelton, is going to open up the playbook a little bit more. And I think you've seen that year over year. And so now you get into a situation where the running back room is a bit banged up. And now Coach Skelton is just going to open up that playbook and allow his quarterback and his receivers to go out there and make plays.
Then, Evan, I wanted to ask about the defense. The defense really is going to be what determines this game. Grayson has a really physical offense. Who on that defense needs to step up for them to win this game?
That's a fantastic question. When you're playing against the top-ranked team in the state and by some metrics in the country, you're not going to go in there and shut them out. It's just not going to happen again. Grayson has scored 24 or more points in each of their contests this year. But Newton is going to need guys like an Amarian Wallace, like a George Bell, to really step up and make some plays. Martez Jones had a great game against Archer, 2 interceptions in that game. But they're also going to need some help, I think, from that front seven as well. There's a guy that, he hasn't really logged a lot of stats, and his name's not really too well known, but he had an excellent preseason game, and that's Ashton Roberts. And definitely going to need some guys like an Ashton Roberts to really step up and provide pressure to the quarterback. Because again, Grayson is, as we've seen this year, they're not unbeatable. Yes, they are still a very, very good football team, even without Travis Burgess. But at this point, as long as Newton can bring some sort of defensive pressure and have some sort of defensive playmaking, then I think they could stand a really good chance in this game.
And then this Newton team is one of the few teams over the past few years that actually has beaten Grayson. 2 years ago, they went in there. At the time, it was a huge upset. Does that play any factor into this? Does that give this Newton team any confidence?
I think so. Anytime you're playing in any sort of region game or a rivalry game at that, there's always going to be that chance that you can go in there and make some magic happen. So I think those guys that are in there, especially those veteran guys like a Deron Benson that have been in that program, can motivate some of the younger guys that are in there to be like, hey, we can actually go out and win this football game. And so I think combined with the potential that they've shown this season, they went and traveled to Bryant, Arkansas. Had a little bit of a struggle in the backfield in that game, but then also another good team in Douglas County really took the fight to them as well. So, they've been able to take the fight to these top-ranked teams, and so I feel like Newton can just go in there and say, well, why not us? So I definitely think the win 2 years ago could potentially play a factor in this.
And then you've been in your position, I think, just over a year now. Congratulations on that
Thank you.
mark. I think it was last week. Who's like a player that you've been covering that has just really impressed you just with the maybe maturity at this point of their high school career?
I feel like I mentioned it earlier. It's Kevin Hartsfield for sure. And I've had a chance to talk with him on many occasions. But, he's just 15 years old, a sophomore, obviously 20 Division I offers at this point, and is I believe a 4-star recruit in the class of 2028. But he doesn't carry himself like a sophomore at all. Even last year when he was a freshman, very, very mature, both on and off the field. He knows he's good, but he's also has a level of humility about him as well. But he's only going to continue to improve with more time under this program. And I think the sky really is the limit for him. So he's definitely the guy, I would say, across in the entire Newton County area that's impressed me the most for where he's at currently.
And then, Evan, what has been the most exciting sports storyline you've got to cover this season?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say up to this point, each year the Newton Cup commences, and so Newton and Eastside play each other, Eastside and Alcobie play each other, and it's always an exciting matchups that go on. But last year you actually had Eastside defeat Newton, and then Eastside would go on to an 11-win season and had a very deep state playoff run. And now, going into the season opener with Newton and Eastside, it could have really still went either way, and in the end, Newton pulled that out. So Newton really getting its revenge on Eastside, I feel like has been the most compelling storyline, and just trying to really elevate up to that next level. They've not been great in the postseason, and Coach Skelton really wants to get far into the postseason. I know that just off of talking with him. So I think that's been fascinating. Another fascinating storyline that I feel like is interesting, I don't want to say the decline, but it's the Eastside Eagles, who at this point they're 2-3. They had a lot of losses of talent, obviously with Jaden Barr going to Georgia Tech, Christian Gass to Tennessee. But it is interesting how that group is developing. I still think they're a really good football team, and I still think they're going to win a lot of games. But it has been interesting to see a little bit of a regression on that point. And we'll look to see in the coming weeks ahead if Eastside can really pick it back up and get going.
Well, again, that was Evan Newton. And Evan, thank you so much for what you do for Covington News, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
We will be right back after this short break with my favorite time of the week. It is time for our Pick'em selections. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now it is time for my favorite time of the week. It is time for our Pick'em segment, and we are going to be looking at some of the matchups we have this week, and I think that there are some great games that we're going to be looking at. But just to recap on last week, Craig, we were the leaders. We went 7-1. Max and Hayden a little bit under us. They went 6-2. Still really good, but this week we decided that we're not gonna touch the Blessed Trinity game. It looks like the last 2 weeks we might have jinxed them, so we're wishing them all the luck this upcoming Friday. Not gonna touch on that game, but let's get into this week's picks. So our first game, we have Holy Innocents versus Lovett, and we have Grayson versus Newton. So Grayson is a powerhouse program. We've talked about this all week. They're the #1 team in the country right now, and I think you just don't pick against them. After speaking with Coach Santavius Bryant yesterday, I feel like they have such a humble mindset going into this game, even with all of their successes. Their defense is incredible. Their O-line, their quarterback, they're solid all the way around. I'm going Grayson.
Yeah, they're #1 in my poll. I think Newton's a very capable team. This is just going to be a tough matchup, and I think Newton's a team that plays better at home. All the coaches we talked to mentioned that they're very dangerous. If you want to play the Rams at home, they're still going to have an opportunity to earn home field in the playoffs. I just think Grayson right now is going to come out and be able to play a really outstanding football game.
I think for me, when you look at this matchup, Newton's strength is the run game. They have two really good young running backs and two more really good high school running backs. But that's playing into what Grayson wants to do defensively. They have a great front seven. All of those guys are D1 prospects. I think if Newton has any chance to win, it's going to be on Deron Benson in that passing game, which isn't really what they want to do.
Next, we have Lee County and Thomas County Central. So I picked Thomas County Central. Again, I think that these are two good teams, but after looking at Thomas County Central's schedule and the scores of these games, I think they have a really powerful offense. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Lee County is an outstanding football team this year. People are gonna think that they have to replace a ton just losing their quarterback, running back, but they've really only had one bad matchup this year. It was to Colquitt County. Colquitt jumped out to a huge lead early. I think Lee County's been able to kind of figure out who they are going to be this season. I think it's going to be a lot closer, but Thomas County Central, the way they're playing offensively, they look unstoppable.
Yeah, I kind of feel that this is the inverse of last year's game. Last year, Lee County was the team with all this experience, all this senior talent. They were a team that was going to compete for a state title, and they came away with a win in this game. This year, Thomas County Central is that experienced team. They have a senior quarterback, senior edge rushers, just a plethora of talent that's really hard to replicate, and maybe the most talented team in that 5A classification, up there with the Miltons and Gainesvilles of the world. While Lee County, you look at their roster, there's a lot of really good 27s and 28s, and even some 29s, but there's not a ton of senior leadership on this team.
Yeah, and I think this probably is the toughest game Thomas County Central's played this season, so I think it will be close, but I'm definitely going with the Jackets.
Our next matchup, we have Benedictine versus Ware County. So I picked Benedictine. You look at these two records and you ask, how can you pick against Ware County? They're 5-0, but then you look at who Benedictine has lost to. Buford and Colquitt County, you cannot count them out of this game. I think it's going to be a battle test on the road for Benedictine, but what they've been doing on offense in their past two games, I definitely see them having a chance in this game.
Yeah, when I look at this game, Benedictine is the more talented team here. However, Ware County won last year, and Ware County always does more with what they have. They're never the most talented team in their region, in their classification. When they were in 4A a few years ago, they were always kind of the little brother talent-wise to Warner Robins, but they beat Warner Robins multiple times. They won a state title. So Ware County could come away with this win, but Benedictine is just so talented. It's going to be really hard for Ware County to win this game.
Yeah, I think Benedictine has the edge just in terms of defense. They are so disruptive. And then the two losses they had early on the season, Colquitt County, that was the game that had all the weather delays. The Buford game, that got out of hand in the second half. So maybe depth was what hurt them playing those Class 6A opponents. But I think playing a familiar Class 4A opponent, I think Benedictine's going to be able to close it out in the second half.
Now we have North Hall versus Pickens. So I picked North Hall. I think that this is going to be one of the best games on Friday night. Both of these teams are going into this game undefeated. This will be the third region game both of these teams have seen. But you look at past games and look at what North Hall is doing on offense, and that's ultimately how I made my selection. I'm expecting a close game, very competitive. North Hall has players like Ty Kemp as a weapon on their offense. I'm going North Hall for the win.
I think they have just a little more firepower offensively. Both these teams have proven they can win close games, they can win shootouts, but North Hall, to me, they just are going to have a little more scoring offensively.
When I look at this matchup, these are two undefeated teams. These are two of the few undefeated teams that are playing. That's going to happen the rest of the season. For me, North Hall is more battle-tested, and they returned 18 starters from last year, and it shows. When you look at this team, even from week one, when I saw them in the scrimmage, everything was very smooth. There wasn't that, oh, it's the first game, we have these problems to fix. They're already there. This is a team that made the quarterfinals last year. Between Ty Kemp, Cole Cable, and their quarterback, Alex Schliemann, this is one of the best passing attacks in the state, and I think it's going to be really hard for Pickens to slow that down and win this game.
Next, we have Carver Atlanta versus Hateville Charter. So I picked Carver Atlanta. This matchup was almost a no-brainer for me. Carver is such a powerhouse right now. They're still undefeated. Their last two games have been shutouts, 68-0 over Mundy's Mill and 44-0 over Washington. This kicks off region play for them at home. Hateville Charter has been struggling offensively, so I'm going to take the Panthers for the win.
Yeah, Carver Atlanta defensively, I feel like they have really stepped up this season. Last year, this game got pushed back to the final week of the regular season. Hateville had a pretty surprising win, 15-12, so I think Carver comes out and wants to avenge last year's loss.
I think when you look at this, for me, the difference maker in this game is Terrius Favors. Four-star Boise State commit, really good athlete, one of the best athletes in the state, is a great DB, great wide receiver, takes handoffs, with the return man, does everything for this team. While Hateville Charter has a chance in this game, it's going to depend on that line of scrimmage that there is really the strength of this team, but I just don't think they're going to come away with this win.
Now let's take a look at Commerce versus Elbert County. I picked Elbert County. They started off their season with a dominant win over Bellevue Christian, 51-0. Their only loss was a close loss to McClave, so this will be their first week in region play. It's a home game. I'm going Elbert County for the win.
Yeah, I mean, they have such a great home atmosphere. To me, both these teams have been struggling, so I looked at who's struggling a little bit more. I think Commerce is offensively. They haven't found that rhythm. I think last week's win in region play is going to give Elbert County a boost, and then playing in front of that home crowd, it's a big rivalry matchup. I'm going with Elbert County. Yeah,
when I look at this game, this is a game between two of the more, I hate to use the word disappointing. They're in new eras. They both have new coaches. They're trying to figure some stuff out. I mean, Commerce is completely switching their offense from a triple option, flex bone offense to a modern air raid passing attack under Coach Lenny Gregory. And I think they will figure it out. But right now, I just don't think they're further enough along, and they're playing in the Grant Bowl, one of the toughest environments in the state.
Next, we have Seminole County versus Early County. So I picked Early County. They are 3-2, and despite the fact that Seminole is 4-0, I think that Early County is the better team. They had a close loss to Westover and another loss to a really competitive LaGrange team. They're both 2-0 in region play. Again, I think this is going to be a difficult road game for Early County, but I see them being 3-0 in region play after this matchup.
Yeah, you can see right there, this is the one we're most split on. I'm going with Seminole County. Yeah, they're going to be on the road. I just feel like defensively, they've had some dominant performances. If they have a good game plan, they will be able to get the stops when they need it.
This is an interesting matchup. Seminole County has kind of made their name known this season. They're undefeated still. They're a really good team. But Early County is the better traditional program. Early County made the second round of the playoffs last year. They're a really good football team. I just think they'll be able to come away with the win.
Next, we have Holy Innocents versus Lovett. And as you can see, Max decided to be different and pick Lovett this week. But I'm going with Holy Innocents. I think that this game is also going to be very competitive. Both of these teams are going in with a 4-1 record. This game is at Lovett, but I think with players like Denham Stevens makes their offense powerful. When you look at their record, they've had 3 shutouts this season against North Springs, Morrow, and Thorell. They also have a powerful defense. I'm taking Holy Innocents for the win.
Yeah, Holy Innocents will have some mismatches they can potentially exploit offensively, but I think this is going to be a very defensive game. Holy Innocents returned pretty much all their starters last year. This is a big matchup in a region that's also, you have Carver Atlanta and Hateville Charter in it also. We're looking at 4 of the best teams in that region all squaring off this week. I just think Holy Innocents has the ability to mismatch athletically at some key positions.
Here's the thing. I think Lovett's a great football team. I think that Coach Muschamp down there does a great job. He always has that team playing really well. Just the high-end talent of Holy Innocents is really good. Champ Bailey's son's on there. They have a really, really good tight end that's committed to Georgia State. I just think with looking at all of that, they're going to be able to overcome that really good Lovett defense.
And guys, just for fun, I want to throw in, so clearly we talked yesterday, we have the Georgia-Alabama game coming up this Saturday. I don't want my houndstooth to be misleading because I'm pulling for the dogs, but I just want to know, guys, who do you think is going to pull out this matchup, and what are your score predictions?
I'm going to go with my Bulldogs. I think Georgia's going to win, and I think it's going to be, I don't know, 31-24.
Greg?
I say 31-28, Georgia.
I'm going 42-21, the Dogs. We will be right back after this short break to hear from Smart Local 85. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we would like to welcome some representatives from Smart Local 85 and BPSOS in the studio. Today we have Steve Langley, Sharon Walker, Donson Haw, Trent Pham, and Skylar Worthy. So, Steve, can you just talk to us a little bit about Smart Local 85 and BPSOS and the work your organization does together?
Yes, Jordan. We, with Smart Local 85 and most of our building trade unions, we do lots of community outreach. And we had a conference here in Atlanta this spring and was able to raise quite a bit of money for BPSOS as our charity. They supply workers for one of our primary production companies, Price Industries.
And then Sharon, how did this partnership between BPSOS and Smart Local 85 come about?
BPSOS helps a lot of the production workers at Price Industries, like Steve said, members of Local 85, of all ethnicities with legal issues, health issues, and I reached out to Trent Pham and we built a relationship, and from there we've worked together to help the employees.
And then Skylar, what values do you feel BP SOS and Smart Local 85 share that made this collaboration a natural fit?
Well, when I first came on, we found out that there was a huge language barrier that was going on that was hindering us to be able to assist the employees. With the help of BPSOS, we both had the passion to be able to go out and try to deliver the best working conditions for those workers on the floor. And with us now being able to partner with them and use them as that bridge with the language barrier, now we are able to fill pretty much all of those gaps.
Dawson, why is it important for communities to work with the trade unions?
Yes, because we send a worker from, prior to the BPSOS, and, they help, the worker in the price industry.
And so, Steve, you guys have something that you would like to present to BPSOS. We'll let you guys take it from here.
So, Ms. Tran, this is a check in the amount of $46,000 that we took up and collected for BPSOS.
Thank you so much.
For all the help y'all do and the good work y'all do. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And so, Steve, how did Smart Local 85 raise this money?
So we have 3 different councils, and it's recruitment and retention, where we recruit people of different, whatever kind of people we can get, even if they're Purple Martians, to go to work. And then we have our Roofers Council, which they put, as you can tell, metal roofs on and stuff. And then our Production Council, which is what we represent at Price Industry. And we meet twice a year, and we always have a charity. We met in Atlanta back in the spring, and BPSOS was our charity, and all the locals come together and unite and raise that money.
And Tran, what does this money mean for your organization?
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is my privilege and honor to represent the organization, to present about our organization provided service and program at your conference last spring. And this means so much to us because of it's telling each of us like, the work that we done is not just benefit your member, but it's well recognized by the council. So it means a lot to us because we a local nonprofit organization. We do have a local community with program and services that they need, and we found out that there a lot of our program services gonna bring benefit to your member and their family. For example, like we provide like free income tax preparation every year for so many members of your organization, as well as we do help with safety training, or we have people enroll in affordable care. Those services we found benefit a lot. So many of your members benefit from that, not just only for themselves, but also for their family. So we are very proud of our work, and it's very grateful that our work be recognized by this. This means so much. It helps us with the operation. We, as you know, like nonprofit, we depend a lot on fundraising and contribution from everyone, from foundation, from government. So this means a lot, and thank you so much for that.
And then, Skylar, how are you working together to introduce more people, especially young people, to careers in the skilled trades?
Well, the main thing right now is we try to hit the ground running, getting boots on the ground, people out, reaching out to these outreach programs, at-risk youth programs, and anything else that has a closed audience entail with them, that we can go out and offer an opportunity for a better life is the way that we go about doing it.
And Skylar, what skills or training opportunities are being created through this partnership?
As far as the training opportunities, theirs is more so on the inside, as far as like she was speaking of, is soft skills, things along those lines, tax preparation, help and assistance with your day-to-day travels, where we come in and we have a new facility out in Fulton Industrial where we do the hands-on training. They get them more acclimated for what they're going to be doing inside of the work field.
And then, Steve, just to close things out, what is next for this partnership?
Well, I'm not sure where this partnership's going to go. It's going to continue to thrive, but with Local 85, we have several different more outreaches that we're doing. We just sponsored the Cherish House, which is a organization, nonprofit, that helps women that's been trafficked. They put them up in houses and out of the limelight till they get restored, get their life back in order. But Local 85 is always here to do any kind of outreach that we can. We just got through doing a 5K run for mental health that helped out. Our partnership with Ms. Tran and BP SOS will continue. We'll help each other out throughout the year, throughout the times.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and we've got to talk about our game of the week all week, but once again, that is going to be Grayson versus Newton tomorrow night at 8 p.m., hosted at Grayson High School. And guys, Carter Lumpkin and Kevin Hartsfield are both expected to return for the Newton team. What could this depth at running back mean for Newton's offense?
Yeah, I think when you look at that running back room, they already have last week they had two really good performances by some of the depth in this lineup. These are guys that aren't normally going to be the guys that are leaned on. They're hoping to get Kevin Hartsfield back. Lumpkin, I believe, should be back. If they can get both those guys back, it creates this idea of we're just going to be a running back by committee. We're going to have 4 fresh running backs by the time we get to the fourth quarter. And if we're in a close game, we may be able to kind of just lean on Grayson, and hopefully we can score and win this game.
Yeah, the health is going to be huge for those two guys. What I think is interesting is Newton has the ability to pass the ball. So what do they want to do? Do they want to come out and be aggressive and then get that deep backfield involved? Or do they want to try to establish the run, which is probably the key to trying to beat this incredible Grayson defense and then open up the passing game? I feel like they have a deep backfield that can all have those home run plays, but establishing the run is going to be very tough, and it will depend on just who's healthy, who's ready to go. But I also think with Tyler Atkinson, he came back in the Thompson game. That was his first game back this season. And then the last 2 games have kind of been blowouts. So they haven't really had to have Tyler Atkinson out there for a 4-quarter game. I think this is the first game where we're really going to get to see Tyler Atkinson do his thing.
And then, yeah, so we touched on Newton's offense, but now for Grayson's offense, Travis Burgess, their starting quarterback, he's been out this season, but Deuce Smith has stepped up to this role. He's been engineering their offense. The quarterback for Grayson now, what have you seen from him this season, and what can we expect to see from him in tomorrow night's matchup?
Yeah, I think when you look at what Deuce Smith's able to do, he's an accurate quarterback. They're not trying to make him do too much, but he's a good quarterback. He got playing time last year when Travis Burgess was out. Now this is his team. The question is, how is he going to do when the game is put on his shoulders? And I think if you're Newton, that's what you have to do. You have to take away the run game and make Deuce Smith win this game with his arm. I think he can, but it's something that we haven't seen him have to do, except I believe in that Thompson game he had a game-tying drive, but it's not something we've seen him do a lot of. I think that's Newton's key to win.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And when you look at some of the games Newton's played this year, they played Douglas County. We know how good their receivers are. So they've seen a team that has top-notch receivers. What helps Deuce Smith is guys like Jonathan Stafford, one of the most experienced, reliable receivers. He's been doing it since his freshman year back when he was at Archer. He's a guy that can be that possession receiver. He can also make the big plays, make incredible catches, but I think just his ability to get open in those intermediate routes, that really helps Grayson's offense keep moving.
And then we touched on Tyler Atkinson, but clearly, Grayson, they have some very, very powerful linebackers. So just talk to us a little bit about what this linebacker core means to this Grayson program.
Yeah, this linebacker core is the core of this team. Anthony Davis and Tyler Atkinson are 2 of the best linebackers in the country. I think at one point they were both top 10 linebackers in the country. When you look at what they bring to this game, it's going to be really important for them to have a big game because Newton wants to run the ball. And if they're not having good games, Newton's going to be able to run the ball, and then that really makes this game really interesting.
Yeah, and when I think of a guy like for Collins Hill, Deuce Geralds, what makes him exceptional is he's a defensive lineman making tackles as if he's a linebacker. But what makes Grayson's linebackers special, they have the size and then the speed to just basically take away entire parts of the field. They can defend the pass, they can be disruptive, rushing the passer, they can stop the run, they can get involved. They're really good situationally. So if they're able to force Newton into the third down and longs, they have the opportunity to send either Tyler, multiple guys in there to really turn up the heat and apply that pressure.
And then earlier we spoke to Evan Newton, Covington sports writer, and we mentioned how I believe 2 seasons ago Newton was able to upset Grayson. So I wanted to get you guys' take on how do you think that this adds confidence to this Newton program, knowing that they have been able to defeat a Grayson program before?
I think it gets rid of this myth of we can't do it, because you have at this point. Sometimes teams get in their heads when they haven't beaten a team in a long time and almost get to a point where they can't because they're in their heads, they're overthinking stuff, and they're not just playing their game.
Yeah, and Newton really embraces that blue-collar mentality. They know Grayson's going to be favored. The computers have them as a 25-point favorite, but this is a team that they have the confidence that they can get through Grayson and beat them, and they're a team that wants to win a state title this year also.
And then, guys, just to close things out, I want to hear your score predictions for this game. Like I said, I do think that Newton, I think they're going to be able to compete. However, I think Grayson's just a powerhouse program. My score prediction, I'm going 45-17 Grayson.
I'm going 38-21 Grayson. I think they come out with the win, but I think it's a closer game, at least till halftime.
Yeah, I'll go 42-24.
Well, we will be right back here tomorrow with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Tune in.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.